The Washington, D.C. crowd scene, this had to be a very organized shoot because we only had, I think, 2 days to shoot the whole sequence in. The one big camera had to follow Tom up as he comes up the steps. We follow him over, turn around, and reveal this ocean of humanity doing this huge cheer as he's like sitting there staring at it. So the process was to set the camera up the day before and rehearse with Tom or stand-in, just getting the move down, the basic positions down, because the crowd has been designed by me to be in the foreground, and then through a series of shots during the rest of the day when we get the main shot done, I'm going to move the crowd from this point to this quadrant, 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 and try to fill up that space all along the reflecting pool, which is huge.
In the original background, we really just had Tom, the people on the stage, and the people just in the immediate foreground here. Then in the computer, we had to replicate these people along the sides of the reflecting pool. And what we did is we would shoot multiple passes of these people in different positions. So you can see here, this was the original background. Then we would take a group of these people, shift them over here, do exactly the same camera motion, without Tom, without the people on the stage, and then we would combine that pass with just the people over here with the original background with Tom until we're able to fill them in along the sides here. And you can also note that the reflecting pool doesn't feel like reflecting that day. So in the final shot, as you can see here, we put a little reflection just to sweeten up the look of the shot, as well as put in a whole new sky.
Come on, man! Come up here, man!
Come on! Yeah, you! Come on, get up there! Come on, move! Let's go!
Go! You can do it! Just get up there! Go on! That's it! Tell us a little bit about the war, man.
Born in Vietnam?
War in Viet-fucking-Nam!
The football stadium was actually shot here in LA. I think it was the University of East LA, something like that. A very smallish football field. Went there, basically what we did is, again, sort of like the crowd scene in Washington, D.C., but a little more elaborate, because we had to, with matte paintings, digitally paint in the rest of the stadium so it looked like it was a different location altogether.
This was one of the many crowd replication shots that we had to do through the movie. In this case, we had a stadium that was filled with maybe a couple hundred extras off in the distance, and they were holding up cards saying, "Go Forrest, go Forrest," and then we had to populate the surrounding area with thousands of people. And in fact, the original stadium only had a lower tier to it, and we added an additional upper level just to add to the overall scale scope of the stadium.
There's a couple of very complicated but very cool shots in there you'd never know were effect shots. The ones on the ground where we're like with a steady cam following Tom running towards us with the football, and there's a couple of scenes there where the background is completely artificial. When he's running in, he gets the ball and he races into the tunnel and he just leaves the football field, and we're coming in and it goes into slow motion. Everything in the background out that tunnel is all put in. The crowd, the stadium, everything is a matte painting. The ping pong game was shot at Paramount Studios. There was only, I think, one tier of people put in, basically. Everything above that was all painted in and designed beautifully, so it looked like this thing went on forever. It's like, because we're in China, so it's supposed to be like these stadiums hold 100,000 people. So it just goes into the dark, basically. You just see waves of people going up. Those were all painted in for the most part. And then again, given a little bit of noise, essentially, to give it kind of a sense of movement in there.
I was so good that some years later, the Army decided that I should be on the All-America ping pong team. We were the first Americans to visit the land of China in like a million years or something like that. Somebody said world peace was in our hands. But all I did was play ping pong.
A very lyrical moment, which is very beautiful, is when Tom and Jenny and little Forrest are walking towards the Bluff Plantation House, or the Gump House. And what we did is we shot the three of them as they walked away from cameras. So we came back weeks later in a place, because we had really marked the camera position and all the information quite thoroughly. We spent the day shooting this elaborate time-lapse shot where the shadows move across the real location. Then there's moments that aren't that complicated, basically looking into the lake as he's running by it. And it's a beautiful moment in the film. We essentially took the sky and just created a perfect reflection of the mountain and everything in this, lake.
Like that mountain lake, Jenny, it looked like there were two skies, one on top of the other.
The cornfield shot where young Jenny and Forrest run out there getting away from the, I think the stepdad, where she says she wants to be a bird and fly far, far away. Well, we're on the two kids inside the cornfield, and when we come back up, we're revealing this whole cornfield and distant, buildings and stuff, and these birds fly out and take off. Real sense of freedom to it, and all the birds are all computer graphic birds put in and all animated to look like they're flying out of the cornfield.
They originally set this shot up with the children sitting in the cornfield, and they had this big camera move craning up. And they tried to release these doves off on cue. However, the doves kept flying off in the complete opposite direction or not flying off at all. For the sake of time, they asked us to create these computer-generated birds that would fly off at the perfect timing and in the perfect direction.
And there's a whole sky put back. And there's a lot of sky replacement in this show to help create the kind of atmosphere Bob wanted at that moment.
Dear God, make me a bird so I can fly far. Far, far away from here.
Mama always said that God is mysterious. He didn't turn Jenny into a bird that day. Instead, he had the police say Jenny didn't have to stay in that house no more.